Although true, it's not so helpful when people say, well, people have it worse. Yes, but have you ever noticed that that doesn't really make you feel better long term? Like, it's a nice little band-aid to go, okay, yeah, people have it worse than me, but that doesn't actually handle your current circumstances going on right now. Because let's face it, to some extent, maybe to all extent, I don't know, we only know what we experience. So we're only able really to compare our current circumstance to our past circumstance and hope for a better circumstance. And knowing that there's worse things happening out there is a good, like, sobering thought, but then it like slips back and we're like back in our like, oh geez, my living situation's so bad, I don't really like it, XYZ. And then you can continue that cycle, or we can get some new thoughts so that cycle doesn't continue. At least that's what I was running into. I had a lot of well-meaning people around me who were like, well, you know, look on the bright side, look out this way. And it was all like external proof that my life was good, but I didn't have any like internal proof. And we only ever change if it comes from within us. We don't really change when people tell us to. This stuff I'm gonna share with you guys kind of goes along that aspect of like, this is some internal work you can do in order to feel better about your living situation. If we haven't met before, hi, I'm Madison. I live at home and I used to be really sad about it, but then I changed literally my outlook. And not only now do I have like my dream job and I'm making good money from it, but there's more exciting opportunities happening to me because I have switched my outlook, and my living situation has stayed the same, and we're always working on it, right? We're always working on it. But even though my physical surroundings have stayed the same, my life has gotten like exceptionally better because I implemented these like internal mind frames. So if it worked for me, hopefully it can work for you. Okay, now let's really get into it. Number one, numero uno. I had to forget it in French, whatever. No matter the physical, we are always living in our minds. So we might as well make it a nice place to live and really focus and give it as much attention as we do our physical world. And at least here in the West, there's like, oh, an awakening maybe, but really it's not really something that we prioritize here as much as they do elsewhere. And we can connect that to a multitude of things, us being disconnected from nature, us being in this like hustle culture. We're so much about external goals that we really neglect our insides and like rest and spirituality and noticing how everything is connected. Just saying that, I can feel the back of my head like something nagging, being like, well, that just sounds a little like heebie-jeebie stuff. What do you worship the moon? So growing up, there wasn't any talk about how to cultivate a nice mindset, because also I was taught in the meantime being like, you know, you're an awful human being and you need XYZ in order to be perfect. So that comes with baggage, but we're not going to get into that today. But once you realize your mind is your permanent home, your permanent living situation, we can begin to take care of it and look into ways of how best to go about your living space of your mind. From here literally creates your life, and I don't want to get ahead of it, but whatever. But what that means is that we need to take our self-talk, our mindset, our worldview very seriously, because those things quite literally make or break us. If we see the world as broken, we're going to look for evidence that is broken, and then we're just gonna be in this helpless spot. Vice versa, if we believe the world is good, or you see the world as like, oh, there's so many opportunities, you're gonna look for those things, and then you're gonna see the opportunities, you're gonna see the goodness, and bring that into your life. So it really is all about here. Next, and kind of going off of that, it is so true, and it sounds so cheesy, but that literally is, I think, the Western mindset that I'm carrying, but it's so true that life comes from you, not at you. So what does this look like in practice? I'm glad you asked. For example, I live at home. I live with my sister and her husband and my two parents, my mom and dad. And it can be very easy for me to slip back into like middle school, high school Madison worldview. You know, we all came back home for our different reasons a year ago. I had two options really. Either to go back into that mindset or realize, you know, everyone operates differently. And just because, you know, we have different ways of going about in the world doesn't mean I need to take it personally and like, they're doing their things. And I started to really focus on like, everyone does love me. Everyone cares about me. And everyone's operating at the level that they can right now. And if like an argument happens, I can either see it as like the end all be all, like, oh my gosh, this is so awful. Or just like see it as something's going on that I don't know about, because we don't know everyone's interpersonal lives. And I could just see this as like, okay, that's a you thing. I deal with my part in this situation, but this whole situation is not all about me. It has to do with them. Most likely if I blow up on somebody, it's probably because I have something else going on inside that this person just like conveniently set off. But there's just a deeper world going on that we see on the surface, and that has really helped me, because instead of living on like this eggshell land at home, I'm just able to live in this like flow state at home. And given it's not perfect and I have to work on it like every single day, that's the thing, you never fully arrive. And that's like the lesson I keep learning in life. Like, you will never fully arrive at the perfect mindset, at the perfect job, at the perfect relationship, at the perfect health. You have to work at it every single day. And that's a blessing and a curse, because what type of life is it that we just work and we achieve something and then it plateaus for the rest of our life. Like a video game, once you achieve something, you're like, that's it, you beat the game. All right, you can play it again if you want. This game of life is just a continuous level. Now we level up, of course, but there is a never-ending thing. There's no final boss, or at least if you don't count death. Death is the final boss, but we all know who wins in that one. Hopefully that makes sense. That's like the best way I can explain it for now. Sorry, not a scholar. I have a BFA musical theater, so that's what we're working with. Next, it's very easy to get in this mind trap of comparison, being like, well, they have this. Well, all these people have easier lives, so of course they're accomplishing more. Or these people are Nepo kids, so of course, you know, they're able to live my dream, and they're able to have this and that house and not worry about money. Ooh, wow. Talk about wasted time. Listen, I'm guilty of this too. But all that time in comparison and thinking that you know what other people have. Sure, okay, they got an Oscar. You do not know all the other things that go into their life or what has taken them to get to that spot, that if you were to see it, you would probably be like, you know what, I'm fine. I don't want to trade places with that person. And that has happened many times in my life where, you know, I have a friend on Broadway and she tells me about the stress of like, you know, well, this show is going to end soon, so we have to start auditioning and like, you never fully arrive. It's like, Now, given performing on Broadway is amazing. I'm not downplaying that whatsoever. I would do it in a heartbeat. But in my mind, being on Broadway is just like, I made it. Psh, that's the plateau I was talking about. I've arrived. No, you don't. You have to keep going. You have to keep, if that's your career, you have to keep going. You have a house, weather can knock it down. You have a career, something can happen and that can be taken from you. So like, you have to put on the blinders and really just focus on your own life. And one thing I do, especially on social media, is that whenever I get these negative feelings from seeing someone's post, I either block them, or if we're friends, you know, I do unfollow them, especially on Facebook, or mute them. So we stay following, but I just don't see their posts because they invoke a feeling in me. Sometimes you do have to end up blocking the person or telling the algorithm, hey, I'm not interested in this content. And then they ask why, and you're able to tell them why, and you're really able to like curate your algorithm or your feed. And I talk to people sometimes and they're like, oh, I just can't get on Instagram because it makes me just get really mad or sad. And like, that's the purpose. That's what like keeps you on the app. So that is definitely by design. Don't be deceived that that is not the purpose. That is the purpose. Rage bait gets people watching and hooks them. You have more control over that than you think. Yeah, you can turn it off and never go back on, but you can also help out your algorithm because the algorithm wants you to stay on. So if you're gonna go off because of that, they're like, wait, if we did something wrong, let us know. And that's the way to do it. Anywho, if you want to have a bad time in any living situation, just compare yourself. Never take control of your comparison tendency, and no matter where you go, you'll not be satisfied. So just deal with it now. Next, and something that I'm currently in the midst of working on right now, you don't want the thing. You want the feeling that that thing brings. For example, if you want to win an Oscar, you don't really want the Oscar. You probably want all of that recognition, all of those people cheering for you, and that feeling that comes from all of that, and being able to do your speech. That what does that feeling invoke? That's what you want. So how can you feel that now? When I'm in my room and everyone's out there and talking or like slamming doors or whatever, like, yes, I do want silence. Yes, I do want like just a peaceful house or whatever. And I'm not saying they do that all the time. This is like, you know, once in a while, and I just get peeved. I'm like, oh, I want to move out so bad. Why? Because I want the feeling of peace. I want the feeling of I can do whatever I want right now. And really, I can. I wake up singing opera and sing opera for like 5 hours in this house, or bang on my guitar or whatever, or have a bunch of people over. My family loves people, so it's not a problem, but I don't want to cause a disturbance. I feel guilty if, you know, people can hear me because I'm just trying to work out songs, or I need that privacy in order to work out music. That's just the way I am. But instead of telling myself the same story of like, oh, I can't do this, I can feel the peace now. And it's kind of hard because for some things you do just need to be alone. You do just need to be living alone or having people not in earshot of you in order to feel completely at peace. But I see a lot of people argue like you don't need to. Like, to be able to master being at peace while there's chaos going around is like the point of it all, of like the practice of meditation. So I don't know if I'm the best person to talk about that, but all I know is that whenever I get this urge, like, oh, I just want to move out. I do want to move out, but what is that feeling that I can call in right now that is accessible to me? I want to feel peace. And that's literally what it looks like. That is easier said than done, and I'm currently working through that because I recently saw a video while I was in this feeling or in this emotional mode, and I was like, oh yeah, I can do that because the feeling I want is accessible to me now. And I have to say, little asterisk, boop, I see a lot of doom core is what I'm going to describe it as. Comments just like lamenting about the negativity. This is a safe place. You can do that. I really want to help you and give you tools in order to change that perspective. And yes, a part of it is just moving out, but I want you to hear this. You have way more power than you think. There's many people in the past that have been in the same exact situation that you have been in right now. There has to be some positive talk. Like we talked about lightly in the beginning, how you talk about yourself and about your story, that is what happens. And listen, as heebie-jeebie as that sounds, we might as well be like, you know, casting crystals into the moon at this point. It's true, and I have seen it played out many times in my life. And there is this one powerful friend I have. She lives in St. Pete. Her name's Audrey, and she told me that when we start expecting the best out of people in our lives, they start to show up as that. And that's really weird, and I have to tell you what, it does work. Obviously, this is not like taking an aspirin where you just pop in a pill and then 30 minutes later, everything's okay. This takes time and really a lot of power on your part to like fix that brain, stop the old loop and insert the new loop of thinking, but just try it. And sorry guys, I had a call, so this is gonna look a little different, but the last thing I want to talk about, and I would put this at the beginning because I like giving the best piece of advice first, but this only makes sense at the end of this video, and that is why not? Why not just try a different mindset? Why not start thinking positively? You have nothing to lose. It's literally free. It's free 99. And listen, if you really try and it doesn't work out, okay, then let's change all your physical living circumstances. But if you're able to still be in your physical situation, okay, and you're like, okay, let me try to think more positively about this, or like challenge the stories I've been telling myself and see how that goes, you might be, not even might, I assure you, you will be pleasantly surprised on how technicolor your world can get without even changing your bed sheets, which you should, but like, you know what I'm saying, without even dusting, without even moving a cup of coffee. The byproduct of this is that your physical world actually starts to catch up with your positive self-talk or the positive world that you're creating in your brain. So it's like even another benefit of doing this, but if you've been in a negative loop or you feel really sad and stuck in your circumstances, why not just try looking at it differently? You have nothing to lose other than you start enjoying life more. And I laugh about it, but that's literally what I did. I was like sitting at my desk and I was like just wallowing in my self-pity, as we all do. And I was like, hold up, this is a choice. I'm like actively choosing, at least for me, I'm not saying you, but like for me, I was actively choosing to be a victim of my circumstance. That's a horrible way to live. I don't want to live like that. Like that's not the identity that I see my higher self as, or like my dream life as. I'm the creator of my life. And so I just literally was like, what would happen if I just focus more on the positive things in life? I'm not saying like change every single aspect and now your whole life is a daisy field. No, it's just whenever you have this big negative emotion come up, you grab onto it and you go, well, what's the silver lining here? And you find it and you go, well, this is what I'm going to focus on now. Not all this stuff, just this. This still exists. I'm not denying it, but like, this is what I'm focusing on. And then eventually this whole thing turns into that color, like Inside Out, right? But once you realize like, oh, let me just try it and see how it works. And I will say, person to person, it can be really easy to change your thoughts and really hard to change your thoughts. But wherever you are on that spectrum, try to the level that you're able to. Life is a classroom. All the students operate at a different learning level and at a different comprehension level, but we are all still learning the same subject. Don't feel bad about going at your own speed. Don't be like, well, they're doing it again. Blinders on. Your life. This is your life. You're in your head. Yes, this is real, but this is with you always. Even when you're not at home, this is with you. This is your real home. So it's time to take that little broom and start sweeping out the cobwebs, you know? Video idea came to me because I saw this like a lot of doom comments, and eventually I got to the point where I'm like, I need to talk to these negative comments directly about like not negating their experience, but showing them that there's a way to operate in this negative experience that hopefully can work and hopefully can, you know, adjust your, because honestly, you're probably 1 or 2 perceptive shifts away from like having this bombshell mind connected with us like, oh, this is how it all works. It's all coming together now. My life is now making so much sense. You're 1 or 2 ideologies away from that. Maybe you're already there, who knows, but just keep on keeping on. You guys have got this. And all the best stories, all the best superhero origins start from a place of struggle or start from a place of like, you know, hardship. We don't want to hear stories of people who have had it all, who have had it in their lap. Those people are not impressive. It is impressive when you take your current situation that you do not like and go into a world that you create on your own and give yourself everything that you ever wanted or desired. That's a more interesting story, so you're probably way more interesting than you think, and this is just for the plot, if anything. But you don't have to struggle or just unenjoy your life just because you're not there yet. Anyways, guys, I hope that this does help in some form or capacity. Please do leave down in the comments what has helped you in your circumstance. And whether you believe it or not, I don't even care at this point. You got it. You will have a better living situation soon because you desire it and because you're going to start seeing it. You're going to start seeing the opportunities around you for that better life. Anyways, I'm going to turn on my fan because I don't know where my mic is and I had to turn off my fan for this. Otherwise, you would be hearing a burr around the room, but it is Florida in the summer and I'm hot. So I'm going to turn on the fan. All right. Bye.